everybody.
Welcome back.
Welcome back to Home on the RNG.
Where the buffalo roam.
Sure, why not? I'm Jeff.
I'm Russ.
And, of course, we have, as usual...
Oh, hello, I'm Chris.
And we are joined today with a very special guest. We have Graham Stark, the co-founder of the Loading Ready Run Media Empire.
Hello. Pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to have you.
Absolutely.
It is quite the empire. It keeps me entertained.
Yeah. Russ and I have been big fans of Loading Ready Run, as you people at home know, because we put out a commercial for Desert Bus every year.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. And we'll talk more about that at the end. But for now, we have a very important game to talk about. Because Graham didn't come along just because he likes us, because he don't know us. He came along to talk today about Final Fantasy VII. And so
you sent me an email that said, hey, do you want to come talk about Final Fantasy VII? And I said, I always want to talk about Final Fantasy VII. So, yes.
Yeah, turns out it's just that simple. So let's go ahead and move into personal history. I'll go ahead and go first. I got a PS1 a little later than most because I was a Nintendo boy growing up. By the time I got a PS1, Final Fantasy VIII and Tactics were also out, and I got all three of those. But my favorite memory growing up with Final Fantasy VII was in high school, a friend of mine named Aaron was like, hey, I'm playing this Final Fantasy game, and I'm having a lot of trouble. Could you come to my house and help me out? I went to her house. She couldn't beat the Demon Wall boss. And I quickly found out why, because she had never played a JRPG before. She had bought all the equipment as the game went on, and she had equipped none of it. She was at the Demon Wall with starting equipment, starting materia.
Okay, that Demon Wall. I was thinking for a minute, but yeah. You clarified.
So, yeah, I'm honestly amazed. She was almost playing like Russ. Like, how did you accomplish this?
I do have a habit of... by some miracle beating games, and I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah. Russ, go ahead.
I am Russ.
Yes, you are.
I bought a PlayStation for this. I was a Final Fantasy kid. I played the original. I played 2. I played 3 over and over. Loved them all. And by the time the PS1 came out, I was, I guess, like 15 something. I don't know. Anyway, this I bought a PlayStation to play this because I'm like, well, I've played Nintendo up until now, but now my favorite video game series is not going to be on Nintendo anymore. So I did not have brand loyalty, and I abandoned them for the PlayStation.
And you never played a Nintendo console again?
Never did. I really didn't till the Wii and the GameCube. I got very late, but yeah, I really did abandon Nintendo for a long time.
How about you, Graham? What's your personal history with Final Fantasy VII?
So the first time I saw it would have been the commercials that they played on television leading up to its release, because they were marketing it heavily. Sony was putting a lot of push behind it. I just remember Cloud being described as one soldier of fortune, which was like a little much actually for what the story ended up being. But I never had a console growing up. I played games at my friends' houses, and sure, some of them played Final Fantasy VI or Chrono Trigger, both of which are great. But I never got deep into those. And then after getting a PS1, I think probably late '97, maybe '98, Final Fantasy VII was obviously one of the first games that I wanted to try. I similarly didn't have that brand loyalty. You reminded me of one of my favorite print ads for this game. I don't know if you recall this from video game magazines back then, but video game print advertising was unhinged.
Yeah, it was.
In the late 90s.
Absolutely.
And specifically, I recall distinctly a 2-page spread in the middle of like EGM or something like that was the Junon cannon. So it's just the giant gun with the caption, "Can someone get the guys that make cartridge games a cigarette and a blindfold?"
I do not remember that, but I believe it, and I love it. Because
the whole thing they were trying to say was like, you could never have this on Super Nintendo. This is on 3 discs mother effer. Like this is we're edgy because it's the '90s in video games. Anyway,
So true.
so yeah, I got the game. I got the Brady Games official strategy guide, and we're off to the races.
I also have the Brady Games official strategy guide, but I didn't buy it. I inherited it from Daniel when he passed, of all things.
I bought the strategy guide before the PlayStation. I had the money for the guide before.
So you studied ahead of time?
So I studied ahead of time. I absolutely did.
Oh man.
Hey, Chris,
I love
how
that.
about...
Just flipping through, you would have known the game back to front by the time you
I
actually
did.
got it.
I already knew everything that happened, including the big thing. So
the big thing.
I knew the big thing because of the. I'm sorry, you're going to ask me what my.
I mean, you can do that. You can say what you're about to say and then go into personal history. It's fine.
That's part of my personal history. So
Go for
ahead.
it. Hit us.
All right. So yeah, I actually said commercials. One of them had the cloud lowering Eris into the water and like in the trailer, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I know what's happening to this character.
yeah,
And that was before I ever played the game, but it was more like a cast of hundreds, $33 million, and I was like, wow, all of that sounds like way too much for a video game. And then I had no concept of like, I mean, that's like a small number now. So I was just kind of like, I had no idea. But I just remembered them being like, this is a true cinematic experience. And yeah, I remember those advertisements too. So yeah, I bought didn't buy a PlayStation, but because I was 15, we got a PlayStation specifically so that we could play Final Fantasy VII. And that would be the first of 3 times I acquired a PlayStation system just for a Final Fantasy, and 2 of those times were for Final Fantasy VII specifically because I bought a PS5 to play Rebirth. So
it's a good reason to buy a PS5.
Yeah, I was at the very, very, very height of my Final Fantasy obsession because I had just played through 6 many times and was really looking forward to 7, even though I had my little like kind of doubts because I was like, oh, they got guns in this one. I was like, come on, auto crossbow. That's what you need.
Imagine if Barrett had that attached to his arm.
Right.
I will say, since we've been talking about the advertisements, I have a theory that I think is fairly accurate because a lot of people, like Final Fantasy VII makes it on top 10 lists everywhere. I bought a book from Bitmap Books, which is a fantastic company for books about this subject. And it was specifically about computer RPGs. So we're talking like Baldur's Gate, Neverwinter Nights, Planescape Torment, that sort of thing. And generally speaking, Planescape Torment is considered one of the best computer RPGs of all time. And it got a 2-page spread in this book. And then later on, there is a 4-page spread for Final Fantasy VII because it had a computer port, and they were like, oh, yes, we have an excuse to talk about this game. Final Fantasy VII's reputation and hype is huge, and I think part of that is because of how heavily they advertised it. They advertised it, including those CG cutscenes, and it caused a lot of people who had not played JRPGs before to try it out, and they were stunned at the depth of story and characters present in the game that you don't get in platformers or first-person shooters. And so I think for a lot of people, they experienced this and was like, there's never been, story and characters like this in a game ever. And people who grew up playing JRPGs are like, yeah, except for, there's a 7 in the title. Like, there's 6 others that came before it.
Sure, we can't play 2 of them, but yeah.
True.
3 of them, actually, at that point.
And I will address, and I'm going to speak for you a little bit, Russ, and feel free to correct me.
You
but
can always speak for me.
I generally do.
Okay.
Russ and I have stated in multiple episodes before, Final Fantasy VII is not a favorite of ours, right? It's not on any of our top 10 lists. I will say, however...
Well, it's on a top 10 list because there are only 16 of them. Anyway, never mind. I'm being pedantic.
But I will say, and Russ pointed this out first, and it became true for me as well, the remakes that they have come out with have deepened our appreciation of the first game. I think when we first started this podcast, our opinion of Final Fantasy VII was not that high. It's a fine game. It's even good. The remakes have caused me to re-examine it. I do, spoiler for the end, I guess. I think it's a great game. So if you hear a change from how we might have talked about it before, It's not that we're like shills for the man or whatever. We were exposed to new information and changed our minds like you're supposed to when you encounter new information.
It's hard to do.
How dare you?
I know.
Hard to do here in the U.S. Yeah, I totally agree. When the 7 remake was announced, I was like, okay, that's cool. I'm going to play that, but let's get this out of the way so we can get like the 9 remake. But now I'm actually loving and excited about remake part 3.
Yeah. I will say the review we're going to do is for the original Final Fantasy VII, not the remake, but of course some discussion of the remake is going to happen as we go in because it's inevitable. We're not following hard and fast rules here. But the review is at its heart about the original game. And the last note I have under personal history is the note I usually have. The game takes around 40 hours to beat.
Yeah, I breezed through it.
Yeah, it was very easy.
Why are we mocking the 40 hours, Graham?
I've never spent so little time on Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah. I was going to say, I surprised myself on my... Because, okay, so when Rebirth came out, I took a week off and I beat it twice, all the way through. And then I went back and beat Final Fantasy VII. This was all at the same time. And that was the first time I'd ever beaten Final Fantasy VII in like under 80 hours, and it did take around 40 hours, and I was so surprised at myself because I had gotten like everything pretty much.
So the around hours to beat I pull from a website called How Long to Beat. They have 3 categories. One is just like it's not speed run, but it's just like main quest, straight run, beginning to end, no frills. Then there's main quest plus extras, and then there's completionist. And when I pull the how long to beat, I'm doing an average between no frills and some extras.
So,
Yeah.
can I cap off my personal history since I...
No, you're not allowed. Yes, please.
Well, it's tied into runtime. So, in 2011, I had a substantial amount of time off from work. Let's call it unemployment. And so I decided that I'm going to do a 100% run of Final Fantasy VII. I'm going to get everything, blah, blah, blah. And I did. And then I was like, you know what? I am going to... Because I read GameFAQs, and I was reading about the 2 glitched out... Actually, the gun characters, that you can glitch them out to one-shot anything, including the super bosses.
Oh.
And so I picked Barrett, because he's my favorite, of him and Vincent.
He is superior, yes. Go on.
I mean, I love Vinny. I love my Vinny boy. But I love Barrett, too, and Barrett's, like, more important to me. Anyways, I decided... GameFAQs said, we highly advise you not try to do this on a real retail copy of the game because it takes so long to do. And I was like, challenge accepted. In a save data that I still have, and it's backed up to the cloud because I got a Memcard Pro, so I actually have this data forever. I took 3 months of straight up grinding Knights of the Round until I had a missing score full of them. And I actually did get this glitch to work on a real disc, on a real copy of the game, where I can take out Emerald Weapon, all the Sephiroths, and Genova all in one hit.
Wow.
It just does garbage numbers, and then they just disappear.
That sounds fun. I love the numbers.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Showing up.
So that's where my experience with the game ended up.
All right. So let's go ahead and start moving into the meat of the game itself and move into story and characters. And I'll do my... Graham has no idea what's about to happen, and I don't know if I'm going to explain it or not. But here we go. An unreliable narrator with PTSD and false memories goes on a vendetta against the man who burned down his hometown and saves the planet in the process.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the story.
that's it.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you could tell that in 40 hours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds like a 40-hour game. I amuse myself by trying to summarize the entire game into a sentence, and then I don't know why the paper pop is a thing, but it is. So
We're
welcome to the
analog
club.
here.
Yeah, I have printed out paper notes in front of me. Russ just shows up, and Chris sometimes has notes on his phone.
Sometimes.
So
Reasonable.
The first question I have in my notes is, do we think Genova is just like a female version of Lavos from Chrono Trigger?
Oh, sure.
Because they both work about the same way, right? Just like this alien life form infects a planet, consumes it, and then moves on seems to generally be the plan.
Yeah.
And I would love to see a conversation between these two, because it'd be like, hold on, you got defeated by a kid with spiky hair too? Well, mine had a talking frog. Oh yeah? Well, mine had a toy cat riding a giant stuffed animal and a talking dog.
It makes me think they're like siblings having an argument about like
Who
who's
got
cooler.
defeated the worst.
Yeah.
Russ, why don't you start us off with the characters?
Well, I know nothing about them. No, I do. Perhaps one of the most known and popular video game characters of all time, Cloud Strife, is the hero. He has spiky hair. That's most of his personality.
He has a spiky ass.
He does, yes.
That's according to Barrett.
I was wondering where you were going with that.
Yeah, Barrett. One of Barrett's famous lines in the, because we're definitely gonna have to riff on the PS1 translation, but yeah, he tells Cloud to get his spiky ass into whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
So canonically,
Man, those polygons are sharp.
Yeah, just broody boy. He has more personality than, say, Squall from Final Fantasy VIII, but he is a soldier for the electric company that controls the world.
Yes.
And then he rebels against it because he had his mind played with by scientists from the electric company that controls the world.
such a foreign concept back in 1997.
It really is.
Yeah, a mega corporation controlling everything. How unrealistic.
Mm.
Yeah, when was I radicalized? This game.
Yeah, and then he meets a gaggle of fun characters along the way, including Eris or Aerith, depending on how you want to spell that.
I'm
Eris.
going to stick with Aerith, but
Yeah.
I don't call her what you want. I'm sure she'll respond.
She, I want to say, is the character that my opinion of improved the most from the original to the remake.
Absolutely.
Because I just thought she was like the cutesy girl in pink, and her whole personality was just like, I'm a girl.
I feel like Aerith's character in the original was very much like girl on a pedestal that they didn't put any personality into so that you could kind of project what you want from her onto her. They made her girl on a pedestal so that they could look. We don't do unnecessary spoilers on this one, but if you haven't played Final Fantasy VII by now, I still feel like you know. Aerith dies, okay? I'm just saying it. She dies.
Yeah.
They put her up on a pedestal. They kind of make her flawless so that her death will affect you.
So I have a counter to that.
Okay.
Is that because before we meet Aerith, I like to call them in what game they're in. So I like to call her Eris when I'm specifically talking about PS1 Final Fantasy VII. Anyway, so
word.
because of the room, I may switch between the two, or just say Eris.
I like that you're protecting yourself from fans coming at you for this.
I know. Yeah.
Bring it on. Get at me in the comments. I never read them. But the thing is that before you meet Aerith, you meet Tifa, who is set up as, I think she's set up more to be like, this is the girl in the game, right? She's Cloud's childhood friend. There's this whole flashback to them making a promise to each other. She's extremely capable. Like, you get her into battle, and your guy with a sword the size of a Buick and your guy with a machine gun for an arm, she is standing toe-to-toe with them with fingerless gloves and work boots.
Yeah.
Very capable.
I love that in a JRPG, by the way, when there's like, we've got guns, we've got sword. I'm just going to kick it. I'm going to kick it real hard. You see that tank? I'm going to kick it.
Yeah. So
Women can do anything men can do in fingerless gloves. Okay.
except keep their fingers warm.
Sure.
Anyways, so that's weird. But yeah, you literally explode like a giant robot to get Cloud to meet Aerith, right? And Tifa's like a huge part of that. So I feel like Aerith is set up as this kind of foil for like that whole idea that you've already built up about Tifa, because she comes in, she's charming, she's, you know, a little more delicate. You can see when she's jumping across the rooftops, she does a little prep. She does like a little thing like, oh, I can do this. I can make this little 3-foot hop. Whereas you've seen Tifa fly across the screen at this point.
The people listening at home didn't get to see Chris just adjusting his skirt to make the jump.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just kind of like doing I'm going to use the same exact motion for Zach doing squat thrusts.
Yeah.
Because it's the same thing. But yeah, it's just like, I think that the game brilliantly sets up Aerith to be like just this totally different person. And I also feel like, whereas Tifa is a little more like, she's kind of caring and concerned and stuff like that, whereas Aerith is like, oh yeah, you're my bodyguard now. Anyway, let's go and have an adventure. I think I could be a mercenary. What do you think?
Yes, I like the weirdness of Aerith.
Yeah,
comes off so much more in the remake. I instantly liked her because I'm just like, you're like a sheltered, homeschooled weirdo.
Yeah, she has this kind of eccentricity that blossoms out of isolation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Graham, where do you fall on the Tifa Aerith spectrum?
Well, I mean, given that specific question, Tifa is the best girl, obviously.
Thank you.
That's just because she's, you know, like she's set up that way, right? Like she is the childhood friend, and I mean, they knew when they were making the game that Aerith was going to die, so obviously Tifa's the one that Cloud is supposed to, you know, in big air quotes, end up with. I find what captivated me at the time was that I found all the characters way more interesting than I thought. Like when you look at what gaming was like in 1997, I didn't expect there to be the depth of narrative and story. And, you know, initially it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I understand what kind of character Cloud is, sure. And then you realize later that, no, you don't know Cloud at all. In fact, Cloud doesn't even know himself.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, sorry. This may go under impact, but I was just going to say, yeah, I remember specifically looking at the PlayStation in magazines and stuff, because I was always scouring magazines for new RPGs, because they were so rare before Final Fantasy VII. And, you know, I was just always looking out for the things. And so I was, like, looking at things like Suikoden, which is a fantastic game, but you don't see anybody with a machine gun arm in that one. So, and it was, you know, just fancier Super Nintendo looking. And so, yeah, that was, to your point, that it was very, like, all these expectations going into this game about these different characters and stuff. And the way the game plays with that is amazing to me.
So we have other characters, too. We've mentioned Barrett, the extremely large, muscular man with a machine gun arm.
He's so handsome.
He is.
But his neck is thicker than his head. So I'm like, if you could put that face on a normal human body, that would be like the most attractive man in the entire world.
There was some interview, and I can't remember if it was like the designer of the remake or somebody, but they were talking to him about the characters, and he pointed out, like, well, Tifa, of course, is well known for her bosom, and Aerith's signature is her jacket, and of course, everybody recognizes Barrett by the scars on his face. Like, my man. The scars on his face are the last thing you notice. First, you notice he's the size of an elephant.
Yeah.
Then you notice he's got a machine gun for an arm. Then maybe you'll notice he has scars on his face.
Well, first you notice his sunglasses.
Yeah, well, yes.
That he wears indoors at night.
And that he swears.
Yeah. He does swear.
They put swears in the
touched on
game.
it briefly, but the original PlayStation 1 translation did lean pretty heavily into making Barrett sound like Mr. T, which was not great.
Which was endearing to me, because as a child I adored Mr. T and the A-Team, and like I even had Mr. T's like VHS Be Somebody or Be Somebody's Fool motivational tape for children. So I was absolutely on board with this at the time. I didn't realize until later that his character has a lot more nuance, and that a lot of his original translation is problematic, but...
Yeah, it's a sad state of affairs when you realize that Barrett is the best representation of a black person in a JRPG up to that point, because, at least for American audiences, mainly they didn't exist for American audiences.
Well,
they got whitewashed in translation.
I want to push back on that slightly.
You don't need my permission.
But I do need to announce I'm going to push back on that because it's going to set up the joke.
All right, I'm prepared to be pushed.
General Leo, if you look at the character menu screen when you're controlling him for 5 seconds, has dark skin.
He does.
Yes.
But not his sprite.
Yeah, he's a secret black person.
Correct.
Yes, very secret.
In the in like the Pixel remaster.
In the
He's a
remaster, they
darker-
fixed it. Yeah.
Yes.
Good on you, Kazuko Shibuya, for fixing that.
I recommend to anyone, and I was frantically Googling this on my phone because I'm the most prepared. There is a great series by Tim Rogers, formerly of Kotaku. You can find it on YouTube, and it is very granular look at the translation of Final Fantasy VII in English versus what it was in Japanese. And there's a lot of interesting stuff about Barrett, how he, in the Japanese version, was always supposed to be like a big brother character to Cloud, and like really cared about him and like really looked after him, but in that sort of like big brother, I don't care way.
Yeah.
And just how
Nobody picks on my brother but me.
Exactly. And how all of that was like demolished in the English translation because they just went for Mr. T. Very long series about the translation of the whole game, but heavily recommended.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
We also have Red 13, a talking dog with a flame on his tail at all times.
Yep.
He's a dog Charmander.
Dog Charmander.
People like seem very confused for a long time whether he was a kitty cat or a dog or like some combination of the two. Did anybody here ever have the like, oh, he's like a lion, he's a kitty cat? Did anybody ever have that or no?
Yeah, I get that.
I always thought
Yeah,
of
I
him as a
they
dog.
don't make it easy. Like I think it has to be on purpose at this point because I know that we're not talking about the remakes right now, but even when you get to the remakes, he does cat things. Like he acts like a cat.
Yes.
In terms of like his physicality and what he does and how he cleans himself or walks around or lies down or whatever. But everyone treats him like a dog. Like all the NPCs are like, "Hey boy, how's it going?" And they
They try to
like,
feed
you know,
him
like,
at
hey,
the
you want to
farm.
play fetch? Yeah, it's very, very odd how he is treated by the game as both. So I think he's just meant to be. He's whatever Nanaki is.
For sure.
As we were talking, my dog is over on the couch giving me the side eye, like she can hear what's going on in the microphones.
Dogs
Anyway,
mentioned, and
yes.
she's like looking up.
Speaking of strange animals, our other non-optional, non-hidden character is Kate Sith, who
That is
is a stuffed, a toy cat riding on top of a giant stuffed Moogle.
Yeah.
Kate Sith is what I like to call a RPG combo breaker. Like a character that is thrown into the game to challenge you on whether you really want to continue going.
That's true. Yeah.
He is a very
That's true.
strange character that, I don't know, mechanically he's different than a lot of the others. Like the way his limit breaks are set up is different than the others. We don't see any, it turns out he's a remote control character from a human, but we don't see any other entities like him. But everybody just like, you're walking around the world and everybody's just like, oh, I guess they've got a stuffed cat riding on a giant Moogle toy.
They
I guess
stole him
that's
from
fine.
the gold saucer.
Yeah.
They were like, we like this animatronic mascot and we're just going to take him with us.
At no point does anybody in the world go, what the hell is that following you?
Like if you went to Disney World and then you just took Goofy.
Well,
I can't imagine a video game utilizing Goofy
I can't
in an RPG setting. Are you kidding? It'll never work.
No.
It'll never work for like 16 games.
No.
Anyways,
oh, we also have Sid. I almost forgot Sid is a non-optional character.
Sid is
or
non-optional.
or as I call him, Sigs.
Yes,
But
because he smokes and swears and he's a grumpy old man.
And he smokes a lot of real cigarettes.
Except in the remake.
No, he does. Yeah, he's
He's on the patch.
I think he never even started because his teeth are so nice.
yeah.
And then we've got two, I love games with optional characters, and there are two hidden characters in the original. They are significantly less hidden in the remakes. In fact, there's no way they're optional in the remakes.
No, they're not optional.
Yeah. I was wondering if maybe Vincent was somehow.
Well, he's not playable yet.
He's not playable.
Yeah,
He's
but
the
he
Red
joins your
13.
party, and there's no way for him not to join your party, I don't think.
No.
That's true.
Interestingly, for a JRPG, by the way, Yuffie, the young ninja hidden character, is the only teenager on the main crew. She's 16. Everybody else is in their 20s and 30s, which is highly unusual.
Unless you count Nanaki in the context of his race.
Yeah, that's true.
In the context of his race, sure, but like in terms of years on this planet, he's in his... God, what is he? He's like 40.
It's like
50
something.
something.
Yeah. Plus, I don't know if you know this, but he's an animal. Different rules. And then Vincent, who is, I don't know, he's...
May I, by the way, I'm going to interrupt.
He's not a vampire.
Yeah.
Not a vampire, no.
I almost was going to say it, and I corrected myself in my head, and then I didn't have anything to say, and...
and may I interrupt you and remind you?
How dare you?
In the canon of Robert Hamburger, that ninjas are animals, and they are super sweet. And they wield the real ultimate power. I'm going to have to stop you there.
Absolutely. Humans are animals, too.
Ninjas are animals, specifically.
Okay. Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Graham, why don't you hit us with what our not vampire is?
Well, so he's someone else who hates the Shinra Electric Power Company for justifiable reasons. I say not a vampire because when you meet him, he's been sleeping in a coffin for a undetermined amount of time, and I don't know why. I think that's just because they thought it would be funny.
He also has a cape and the ability to like hover in the air during chat scenes.
Yeah, he does. He does have that, and he also, as part of his limit break, his like superpower attack in this game, he transforms into various other beasts and creatures, up to and including the villain from Final Fantasy I.
Yeah.
Yes.
Luckily, not like a perfect representation of him, because that dude took up a whole screen.
Yeah.
True.
Although in the
Yeah.
remake,
Despite
very well be.
having the Brady game strategy guide on my very first playthrough, I just kind of couldn't find the door where you were supposed to go in and get him, and so I didn't have him
That
on
is
my first playthrough of this game.
That is one thing about the way this game is laid out. Like it looks good. It's a good looking. I have issues with like the character polygons. I never liked the way they look even when I first got the game. But like the backgrounds and everything look very good. But it is very difficult to tell which parts of the background you can interact with.
Did this one have the button that you could press and you could put the little cursor
Yes.
over the... Okay.
Oh yeah, no.
No,
7
this
had
one
too.
has it too,
That's right.
yeah.
That's right. It does.
You hit a
I couldn't
button and
remember.
it puts an arrow over your character, and then
I
there's
couldn't remember if this
an
one
indicator.
had it because apparently it did, and I was like too much of a snob, I guess, to turn it on, and that's how I missed Vincent.
That is how I
because I'm
describe you
like,
to people. That's the characters. The story itself, I covered. The real driving thrust of the story is Cloud and company trying to find Sephiroth, who is a product of some scientific mumbo-jumbo done by Shinra. And Sephiroth wants to destroy the planet for some reasons that vaguely make sense to him. There is kind of a background story about this evil mega corporation that is trying to conquer the world and doing a damn good job of it. And they're draining... people claim that this game is not political, and it's one of the most overtly
It is
political games I can think of. Because this power company that rules the world is draining the literal life force of the planet to power electrical things. They know they're killing the planet to do it. They just don't care. If there is not a better allegory for like fossil fuels in existence than this game.
And I mean, especially nowadays with like, climate change being like more real than ever, and yet here we are powering our AI things that are just like exacerbating to like a huge degree the issues we already have not fixed.
What's funny to me is because there's a sequel movie to this, Advent Children. And there's a scene in there where Barrett and Cloud are on a cell phone, and, spoiler, Shinra falls apart by the end of this game. You defeat the evil corporation. They become a shadow of their former self. They're going to mend their ways. They're going to do good things. Barrett is out there trying to find alternate energy to like save the planet, and his phone call to Cloud is, "Hey, we just found a giant oil field. This is going to be really helpful." Like, no, my man, you're going the wrong way.
Well, and go ahead.
So I would allege that the story of Final Fantasy VII has been slowly and progressively ruined by every other piece of ancillary media they have created for this game.
Yes.
You didn't love Dirge of Cerberus?
Yeah. I'm just saying that you're exactly right in that, like, that's not a good look when you look at the rest of this game. And I, when you ask someone like, okay, well, who's the bad guy of Final Fantasy VII? Right. Well, obviously it's Sephiroth. But I don't think that is obvious. Sephiroth is certainly Cloud's primary antagonist. I think the villain of this game is the Shinra Electric Power Company. You already compared Jenova to Lavos, but like Jenova crashed to the planet 1,000 years ago and was trapped in ice, and wouldn't have been doing anything if Shinra hadn't dug her up and started doing experiments on her.
Yeah, we don't see any evidence that Jenova has.
No wonder she wants to destroy the planet.
Yeah, Jenova doesn't seem to have like a will or a consciousness either. It seems to just be an entity that exists, and its existence causes things.
Well, I know we yada-yada'd the Sephiroth's role in this, but okay, so what is Sephiroth really? He's just a dude with a big sword who basically, like, because he was created or augmented by Shinra using Jenova's cells, what they didn't realize is that Jenova can control like things that have like any like part of her, including the cells. So like he's just being controlled by this alien entity that was introduced into his DNA. And for that reason, she can control him, and so she exerts her will and her plans through Sephiroth, who is long dead. Like, he's not a real person. All of the Sephiroths that you meet are fake, except for the flashback one.
That also comes through so much more clearly in the remake.
Yeah, it's and not even that clearly, because goddamn, I'll get to that when we do that episode.
I would also argue the real main villain of this story is Hojo.
True.
Well, yes.
True.
Yeah.
Because he does kind of go above and beyond. I mean, he's just doing a good job.
I mean, let's forget about the fact that he tries to get the dog cat creature to breed with the human woman, right? He also created Sephiroth by manipulating a baby in a womb.
That he created.
Like, if Hojo had never been born, this story goes very differently.
Yeah. Yeah, they would have just, like, destroyed the planet the slow way, like what we're experiencing.
Yeah.
God.
But,
oh, God. Is that the only difference between our worlds?
is that we don't have...
Hojo?
We kind of got a Hojo, though. So we
do.
Okay, moving on.
Yeah.
Do we have anything else we want to cover in story and characters?
I mean, too much. I could go on. Every one of these characters, I was like, I have a whole lot to say about this, but then we moved on. So, yeah.
Is there?
I just want to very briefly get on a high horse and
hell yeah,
say that we're talking about the original game. I appreciate the story of the original game as it relates to Cloud much more than in the remakes, where they go in a much more general Nomura era Final Fantasy thing about like destiny and overcoming your destiny and all that, because that is not what the original game. To me, that is not what the original game is about. That it is about Cloud learning to accept that who he is good enough, and that he doesn't have to pretend to be somebody else.
Yeah.
Because once he accepts that, he is successful. And I think I honestly think it's a very strong message in the original games the original game that is somewhat undercut by the remakes.
I agree. I think that also, I mean, Russ did describe him as broody. I think that that's part of the Sephiroth influence. I actually think he's a goofy guy. He's like,
well, he's really silly. The reason
he's
broody at the beginning of the game is because he has no memory. He woke up at the train station. His childhood friend went, maybe you should be a mercenary. And that was like 20 minutes before the start of the game. Exactly. He's closed because he's like, I don't know what is happening.
There's also kind of an air of, well, this is how a mercenary should be.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I love
He's like a little boy trying to play pretend as a grown man.
I love the fact, the twist that they make in like tutorials in the beginning of this game, because typically the tutorials are characters explaining to you how mechanics work in the game. In Final Fantasy VII, you encounter those tutorial characters, but instead it's Cloud that explains to them how the mechanics of the game work, which is a fun little twist that's supposed to, it sells us the lie that Cloud knows who he is and what he's doing. It helps them pull the rug out from under us later more.
And can I add to that?
No.
No, okay.
No, please.
I love that later in the game, you can run into the ghosts of those tutorial wanting characters who specifically in the lore of the game say that they cannot return to the live stream until they have learned enough about Final Fantasy VII, and that's why you get to like repeat the tutorial. That's a stronger pull than friggin' Aerith. Yes.
Aerith's fine. She's just, no, I'm good. I've had my
She's
time.
like, I'll be behind the scenes and stuff. I ain't coming back no ghost. Okay, 1 second if you walk into the church. That's it.
That's all you get. All right. We've been going for a while now. Let's go ahead and move on into combat system.
It's Final Fantasy.
Well, it is Final Fantasy. The look of the game is different, obviously, because we've moved into a new era, right? So we reviewed Wild Arms before we reviewed this. The combat system very much looks like Wild Arms, except the characters aren't chibi.
Wild Arms came out. I know
battle.
I said this in our Wild Arms episode.
Hit
It
it
came
again.
out about 3 months before Final Fantasy VII and was being touted as like, this is the RPG to beat because they have a 3D battle system.
And then immediately it got
And then
beat.
like 3 months, like the summer ended and we got Final Fantasy VII and nobody remembers Wild Arms.
That's like if somebody is like in second place by like a little bit and they're like, this is the guy to beat, and there's like this person already sprinting like ahead of them, you know.
You only get 3 party members in combat, which is the smallest group, the smallest party we have seen in Final Fantasy. Although it does kind of become somewhat standard, right? Moving forward, is 8 3 characters?
Yeah.
8's 3 characters, 9 goes back to 4.
Let's admit it, 2 is 3 characters.
Well, that,
You
yeah,
get your
that's
guest
true.
character never gets to catch up.
We're never going to go back to 4, where you have, 5.
5.
That was such a good number. So real quick, we'll start with Graham. Graham, what is your preferred party? Who do you beat the game with?
I tend to play with Cloud and Tifa and Red 13, or maybe Barrett. Cloud because you're obviously obliged to for large portions of the game. Tifa because if you build her right, she'll just punch someone into the sun, and then somebody who will live to the end of the game to do support.
For the life of me, I don't know why, but I pictured you as a Red 13 man. I can't explain it, though. Russ, what's your party?
Really the same, except that sometimes I would swap out Sid because I had a crush on him. So,
Chris?
I do like Sid.
He was such an old man, though. He's 32.
well, you didn't know me when I was 16.
This is really just for Russ, but Sid was Daniel's favorite character as well.
Oh.
For people listening at home, and Graham also, in college, which is where Russ and I met, my roommate was a guy named Daniel. He also was big into these kinds of games. He passed away a long time ago, but Sid was his favorite character from the game. Like, that's who he aspired to be. Go ahead, Chris.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty basic. It's Cloud, Tifa, and Barrett.
That's mine as well. Wow.
Just the dream team.
Why do they have all these other characters?
And that carried through to the remake too.
I know initially I heard a report that when they were designing this game, they intended to keep the cast very small, and Barrett was going to be the one who died.
Yeah.
Was the initial design plan, which they toy around with a little bit in the remake.
I was going to say, I didn't even know that's like where that came from.
So in combat, limit breaks are back. They were kind of in 6. They were desperation attacks. It was a mechanic that you could play through all of Final Fantasy VI and never encounter.
It startled me.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I saw it happen.
I've played the game many times. It's only happened to me once, but when your characters are super low on health, like they're ducking and sweating, sometimes their basic attack will be a special attack designed for that character. They each have their own desperation attack. This game improved on that mechanic and turned it into limit breaks. Limit breaks is a thing that I think is more common nowadays in games. And Russ, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is probably I think this is where it started.
This is this is a really early example of it.
So,
Wild Arms had it, but we forgot about Wild Arms.
Yeah, we don't. Wild Arms didn't exist.
We don't talk about Wild Arms.
So as your character takes or deals damage, they build up a limit gauge, and when it maxes out, their basic attack turns into a limit break. Limit breaks are broken down for most characters. There are a couple characters who are set up a little weird, but most characters have 4 levels of limit breaks with 2 different limit breaks at each level.
Except the last one.
The 4th one only has 1. You unlock new limit breaks over time. In order to unlock a new tier, you have to kill a certain number of enemies, and then in order to unlock a new break within a tier, you have to use a limit break within that tier a certain number of times. So you have to be like, if you want to level up your limit breaks fast, you have to do a conscious method of, okay, this character needs to focus on killing as many characters as they can. We need to spam their limit break as much as we can. Higher limit breaks take longer to build up and use, but they are, of course, more powerful.
The important thing is that it encourages you to use them, unlike Final Fantasy VI, where people didn't know about them because
you're putting yourself at risk.
You have to be at low HP to be able to access them.
And I was just gonna say, in a very '90s way, a great way to use access your limit breaks more often is to put your character in hyper state using a
bunch of sugary cereal.
Yeah. You get because it introduces the hyper and sadness.
Yeah.
Completely opposite things that definitely don't both embody the same character at any point.
Graham, would you like to explain to us the materia system?
Oh, I would. I was hoping you were going to ask me that, actually, because I love the materia system. I think, again, I know this is not the game that we're talking about today, but I think one of the reasons that at the time Final Fantasy VIII was somewhat maligned by the fan base is because for all these people who had never played a JRPG before playing Final Fantasy VII, they boot up 8 for the first time and everything's different and GF junctioning is needlessly confusing. Whereas I think the original Final Fantasy VII materia system is one of the best and cleanest magic systems in, frankly, any Final Fantasy game. I think it's intuitive, it's good, it's a very good system. You have different sort of kinds of magic. You've got your normal magic materia that does things like lightning or cure or fire. You've got support materia that you can, in the weapons, pair through paired nodes where you can have it attack everybody, or you can drain HP when you attack with it, or you can just make it cheaper or make it more powerful. You've got the command ones that add different commands in battle, and of course you have the purple ones for passives that just sort of give you a passive buff, and the red ones that are the big impressive summons. And I think it's just it's a very clean system that is fun to maximize. It's a thing that it's easy to use, it's easy to figure out and start, but then the potential upper limits of it are very high.
Oh, yeah. There are some insane combinations you can start pulling off with the right things. I mean, you can have a character attack like 8 times on their turn if you equip the right stuff, set it up the right way. Summon Knights of the Round twice for one character, then have another character copy it and do it again, and another character copy it and do it again. Although
20 minutes later, that enemy is dead.
Yeah. Any enemy that can stand up to 2 rounds of Knights of the Round, you should probably be scared of anyway. I think it feels like the final evolution of the relic system from 6. Like 6 is the very baby version of the materia system because it was, I can equip things on these characters that enhance them or change them in some way. And this is it dialed up to 11. The only thing I dislike about the materia system is there's not an easy way as you swap party members around for story reasons, or if you're trying to level everybody up or whatever. There's not an easy way to swap one character's materia setup into another character. So
and then they fix
there's
that.
some UI things that could be better, but yeah. I do appreciate though that I mentioned the slots in the weapons. So notably, you see the materia slots in, like, this is an in-universe thing. This isn't like some sort of meta level thing. In the game, the characters have these materia orbs that they slot into their weapons, and you can see them on the Buster Sword. You can see them on Tifa's gloves. You can see them in Barrett's guns or whatever. Different weapons have different stats and different combinations of materia slots. And there's ones that are super powerful weapons that have no materia slots, or there's ones that have fewer slots but will level the materia that are slotted into it much faster.
Or ones that have a ton of materia slots, but none of them are linked.
Or
yeah. So there's a lot of fine tuning that you can do.
the 0 materia growth, the saddest weapon of all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some of the best weapons do not let your materia level up, but you can still equip materia. But so you save those for like the end of the game when you've mastered certain materia. Like, good, I can put those on this character. I don't care if they grow, because when you complete a battle, you get XP and AP. AP goes directly towards leveling up whatever materia your character has equipped.
In the remake, I like to arrange my materia so that they're in like pretty colors that I can see on my character.
Very nice.
Nobody is surprised to learn this about you.
I know.
Graham is just like, no, that makes sense.
It does.
This section of the podcast.
I like it.
I was gonna say, this section of the podcast paid for by the Yuffie Kisaragi Foundation.
Yes, Yuffie obsessed with materia. There is, so kind of like how you could play through Final Fantasy VI and not encounter the limit breaks or the desperation attacks. There is a mechanic in this game in combat that you could play through the entire game and not encounter, because I've never had it happen to me. The lucky number 7. Mm-hmm. And so I may get this wrong since I haven't encountered it, but if at any point in combat your health and mana are all 7s, your character goes in like Super Saiyan, right? They are basically unstoppable.
I think it's just health.
Is it just health?
Yeah, if their health is 7,777, then the game displays a prompt that says all lucky 7s, and then you just do super damage.
Yeah, I've never had it happen to me either.
No, I mean, it doesn't feel like a thing that would probably happen accidentally. You really got to aim for it, but with the way Final Fantasy deals like damage and healing and everything, aiming for it even would be very tricky.
Yeah, I also had the Brady guide, so I knew about it being a thing, and so I did actually spend the time to manipulate it into happening, and I did get it to happen like a few times, but it was never like useful enough because I couldn't. There are ways that you can like really manipulate it where you can just like do one thing and then kick it off, and some people do that, but I'm like, whatever.
Yeah, it definitely seems like a power player strategy to work with that.
The person who enacted the missing score glitch on a real cartridge. I keep saying a real cartridge. I'm sorry. I'm too.
How dare you?
On a real copy of the game, and saying like, yeah, Lucky 7's not worth it.
Do we have any other combat-related things to talk about, Chris?
At the time, I liked that the field view of the characters, the sort of like weird little chibi versions, was different from the combat one. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, I like that too.
In combat, the characters are more normally proportioned, which apparently this was like a disagreement amongst the developers between, I think it was Sakaguchi and Nomura, that Nomura wanted to do like normal proportions, and Sakaguchi was like, no, we should keep it a little bit more stylized. And so this one sort of split the difference. And then 8 is the one where it was like, all right, Nomura, you try your thing. You make them all look like normal humans. And people reacted as they did.
And then 9, we went the other way again.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and move into innovations. Hey, Russ, this game has a lot of mini games. I would love to hear your opinion on the mini games.
It does have a lot of mini games. My personal favorite is Mog's House. Actually, no. My joke was going to be, and then I screwed it up.
Do you want to take it again?
This is my favorite snowboarding game pre-SSX that has a JRPG built around it.
Weirdly, no fishing game
I know.
for a JRPG.
Yeah, it does have a lot of mini games. This was my least favorite thing from the PS1 era of Final Fantasies, is all of the mini games that you just randomly had to do, and then you just never did it again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You mean you didn't really enjoy that CPR game?
No. You know which one I did enjoy, though. Of course you know which one I did enjoy.
As soon as you say it, I will feel like an idiot
The
for not
Tifa
thinking.
Scarlet Slap Fight.
Oh God. Okay.
On
Yeah.
the top of the cannon.
Good stuff.
That is the Russist mini game. That is, yes, I can understand.
That was like, that should have been the true final boss battle.
Russ has a save state at home where he just loads
I
that up
just do
once
the
a
slap
month and
fight.
does the slap
I-
fight.
No joke, that is in the top 3 things I'm looking forward to the most to Part 3.
And you know they're going to handle it so well.
Oh, it's going to be so good.
Everything has been handled so great.
It's going to be so good.
One of the reasons that I scoffed earlier when you suggested the runtime is because that completely does not take into account how much time you can spend at the gold saucer.
Oh, yeah.
Because you do, the game does do the thing where it's like, hey, here's a mini game, now you're only going to do this once. Except, late in the game, we've collated all those mini games that you've done through the game, and they're all here now, and you can play them forever as much as you'd like.
Along with the world's
And I
worst
did.
basketball free throw game.
Okay, that no one likes that one.
No one likes that one.
Oh God, somewhere there is one fan who's just like, podcast canceled. That's the best mini game. To you, sir or madam, have at it. I'm glad you found something you love. The dolphin jump is another.
Yeah.
Like the dolphin jump and the CPR game, both I could have lived without.
Okay, the dolphin jump makes me angry, and here's why. You can win it by not moving and just pushing the button twice.
Yep. That's my favorite part of that mini game.
The harder the dolphin game is, the only reason the dolphin game is hard is because you fool did
Tried to
inputs.
play it.
You tried to play it.
Another thing, so the CGI scenes in this are really good. Even still, I feel like they hold. Now, obviously, they don't look like modern game, but playing this game recently, I still think they look good. I almost want to say for their time, but like almost beyond
else is
their
there
time.
at the
They look very good. My favorite is when they're getting the truck and the motorcycle to do the highway
Yeah.
race. I love that cutscene so much.
I literally
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
always had a save right before that cutscene. I do it out of habit now, even.
Just so you can watch it again.
Because I can watch it again.
Like me in the slap fight.
Yeah.
Hey, Graham, how does that whole chocobo breeding thing go?
Boy, when you talk about mini games, yeah. Do you want me to run through it? Chocobo husbandry.
Teach me your ways, Graham.
Okay, so you can capture chocobos. You find them on the overworld, wherever there are chocobo tracks. You can get a random encounter with them. Then you bait them with the greens that they like, and then you capture them and take them to the chocobo ranch, and then you breed them. And then, depending on the offspring, you take the offspring to the gold saucer and you run them in chocobo races to get their stats up. And then you get 2 very good chocobos and you breed them together. And then hopefully they have an offspring that is a mutant in some way, which is to say blue or green. And they allow you access in a sort of a Metroidvania way. They allow you access to different parts of the world map so that you can get special materia or special items that are hidden in caves. You have one chocobo can go over the mountains, one can travel shallow water. Then eventually you get one that can go all of those places, the black chocobo. And then if you're very good at making chocobos poink, then maybe you can get the gold chocobo that can go anywhere. And that allows you to get to the one cave where you can get the Knights of the Round Summon materia.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, Chocobo Jesus who can walk
that
on
kind of
water.
thing.
On the chocobo breeding thing, I think it's so funny that, to the point of talking earlier about Barrett talking about striking oil. And by the way, the fact that in the text of Final Fantasy VII, he and Dyne are champions for the coal industry. That's
true.
the reason they resist Mako in the first place, or at least are hesitant about it, because they're like, there's plenty of coal in the earth.
Yeah, we could come up with the sci-fi fantasy thing of like the planet's life force, but we could not come up with any other fantastical energy source for our story. It's coal and oil.
Yeah. So I was just gonna say, it's so, to that kind of point, it's so funny that your planet, freedom fighters participate in genetically modified organisms through selective breeding in Final Fantasy VII.
This is the first time I did the Chocobo breeding. It's the first time I got Knights of the Round was this playthrough. And my God, Knights of the Round is such a good summon. I mean, if you don't mind, making a sandwich in between each time you cast a summon. But that's the next thing I wanted to talk about in innovations is there is a lot of secret unlockables in this game, which I tend to enjoy in a game. Because you have to track down everybody's fourth limit break, right? They're all hidden. Tifa's is obnoxiously missable. If you don't play the correct piano tune in a flashback when you have no reason, like the others you can usually go back and get, like they're not time sensitive. Tifa's, you better play a song on that piano and it better be the right song. But there's also extremely rare materia, 2 optional mega bosses.
I want to say, as we talk about the optional mega bosses, the Emerald Weapon is the scariest thing that I've ever seen in a video game, or maybe just in life.
Emerald Weapon is optional, but in no way hidden. It is a jump scare.
Yes, that is fair. I had never beaten either of them before I did this playthrough. I was going for 100%, and I was just like, man, it's like 1 a.m. I need to go to bed. Let me just beat Emerald Weapon real quick, and I'll go to sleep.
No.
You're right to laugh at me. No, I deserve that. My God, hours later.
Do you imagine...
Something I find funny, and I don't actually know if you got into this when, under the assumption that you previously talked about Final Fantasy V, was when they decided not to localize that for North America. One of the reasons was they thought it would be too difficult. They were like, this will be, the game complexity will be inaccessible for a North American gaming audience, which was, A, rude, and B, probably accurate. But the change from that one to this one, where Emerald and Ruby Weapon were not in the original game, they were added in the international version that was released in North America.
Yep.
Yeah, which is wild that they're like, oh, we're releasing this for a North American audience? Let's put this nonsense in it.
And they do the thing that a lot of JRPGs do where there's like a secret hidden end boss or an ultimate boss that's harder than the end boss. But if you beat them, you get some really cool equipment. In this case, you get Master Materias, which is like 1 materia slot, but your character gets all of the summons or all of the abilities or whatever. And it's like, you don't understand. If I could beat that monster, I don't need any more help. I can just stroll through the rest of this game.
The reward for beating Ruby Weapon, who is infinitely harder than Emerald Weapon because it's a gimmick boss on top of being super powered, is a gold chocobo.
Yes, which you're not going to beat that thing without already having the gold chocobo, more than likely.
The gold chocobo now has a girlfriend. Amazing. The one I already have.
There is an interesting mechanic I didn't realize until I read a walkthrough on this version. Typically, when I'm playing a game that I've played before for Home on the RNG, I'm trying to like squeeze every experience I can out of it. So I will often reference a walkthrough to make sure I find all the hidden little nooks and crannies so I have a complete experience. And it turns out when you get to the end boss, the next to end boss fight, the end boss is a gimmick. I'll mention that in a second. But the next to end boss fight, depending on if you have met some various hidden criterias, your characters are all at least at X level, you have this equipment, whatever, you can split your party into 3 groups to fight the boss, or 2 groups to fight the boss, or just have 1 group, depending on whether or not you've met some hidden criteria.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Hidden criteria is all over Final Fantasy VII. See also Tifa and Aerith. And we didn't know this at first, but Barrett and Yuffie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dating at the Gold Saucer. There's a date scene. Mm-hmm. So all of your party members basically have a hidden, let's call it affection mechanic for Cloud, where certain dialogue choices will grow or shrink their opinion of you, and whoever has the highest opinion of you between Tifa and Aerith will go on a date with you. But if they're both low enough, you could end up with Barrett. I did not know Yuffie was...
Yuffie is part of it. She's the hardest one to get, but yeah, you can do it.
Yeah,
you have to be mean to everyone, though. Like, you have to be mean to people in a JRPG, which I cannot do. Even in the... Even in my remake playthrough where they are like actually measuring it right in front of my eyes, I think Tifa won by 1 point.
Yeah, Tifa and Aerith were pretty close for me, and I didn't know who was going to show up at the door. And honestly, we talked about the Tifa-Aerith thing back in Story and Characters, but like in the original, I settled pretty easily on Tifa. The remake gave Aerith enough personality that it became a really hard choice for me. And when the date night was approaching, I didn't know which one of them was going to knock on the door, and I didn't know which one of them I wanted to knock on the door. The final boss fight, by the way, because I said I was going to say this, the final boss fight is basically a scripted event. It's not a real fight. It's a gimmick boss because it's you versus Sephiroth. Well, if Sephiroth manages to get your health down to 0, you don't die. You're still there. You're still fighting. The only action you can take in battle is Cloud's ultimate limit break. Even if you never found or unlocked it in the game, you use it in that and you win.
By the way, if you do have Cloud equipped with counterattack materia, he uses it instead of his ultimate thing, and that it ends the battle too.
Oh, okay.
So you I found that out one time. But I was just gonna say as well, you said the second to last. The second to last, if you're considering the scripted fight is the last, then Safer Sephiroth the second to last, Bizarro Sephiroth the third to last, the anti-penultimate fight, that's the one that splits up your party.
Okay.
Because only one party goes after Safer. Sephiroth.
Not that I'm shocked or anything. I'm just like, oh yeah.
Without any kind of notes at all, he actually knew the facts.
As we quickly...
Surprise, I didn't actually finish another replay of Fantasy VII for this review.
I am shocked and appalled,
But
Russ.
I have completed. I got the gold chocobo years ago.
I have some behind the scenes for people at home. I also... I keep notes of, usually I don't have a lot of personal histories for games because my job is to approach them for the first time. So my personal history is normally saying things like, this game was developed by Square and released in 1997, which I have on a separate note sheet that I forgot to reference earlier. And also on that note sheet, I put down composer information, including what other games they've worked on. I started doing that before Chris joined us. I kept doing it because what if Chris can't make it? Except Chris always makes it. So I am now holding in my hand the most useless piece of paper imaginable that just says Final Fantasy VII, developed by Square and released in 1997, composer Nobuo Uematsu. That's it. That's this entire piece of paper I'm holding in my hand. It is the biggest waste of ink that has ever been committed.
That's important information to know.
Generally, I hand the composer information over to Chris.
Oh, please.
Do you want this?
Give me.
You can
give
have.
me.
I've read you the entire sheet of paper. Have it.
I'm taking a picture of this later.
Great.
I've never heard anything from him, but I hear good things.
I hear he's a good up-and-comer.
Let's find out more. Unless anybody has any more innovations. Are we missing anything?
Oh, God. I mean, again, it's like... Could just
And
keep
moving
going.
into music. Chris, lead the way.
Okay, so the music of Final Fantasy VII, which, by the way, is a game that was developed by Square and released in 1997. Composer is Nobuo Uematsu, who is probably best known for Final Fantasy. Okay, so yeah, here we go. Nobuo, at this point, I would say, is like established. Yeah, I'd say he was pretty well established among people who did play the paltry few of us who did play like RPGs back in the pre-FF7 wilderness. Definitely knew this guy's name and the rock star element he kind of brought to JRPG music. Final Fantasy VII, of course, introduced much more complex MIDIs with many, many more voicings that you could do. They could have done like full recording orchestral type stuff. They had been doing that since the Sega CD. But I think for this game, they opted to keep it at fancy MIDIs. Holy jeez. Yeah, if you ever needed proof that Nobuo was an Emerson, Lake and Palmer fan, just start up this video game and hear the opening piano roll of the combat mission, or the bombing mission, which is, the do 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 do. I tried to keep myself to only one actually humming of a song, so that's it for you.
You got it.
That's what we get.
But yeah, like you hear like that music and just like things are just like bombastic, and like you get all these like not just orc hits like you hear on a Super Nintendo, but like real like orchestral like flourishes and things like that in this just lush soundtrack. I mean, just over the top. And then you get into just like quiet moments, like when you're just in like Sector 5 or something, like, or when you're Sector 7 is the one that you start off in. Yeah, and you just got like it's
Tifa's
just down
seventh
to
heaven.
Yeah, just down to like a couple of instruments, and like each character has a theme, which is of course true for all of the most of the Final Fantasies before then. I mean, I guess you could say 4 and 6 because they're the ones that have like specific character themes. But and even then it's more locational for 4, and then 6 definitely. So this kind of takes the 6 thing, but it weaves it into this leitmotif where when that character has a moment, then it's going to play like part of their song. And like for other songs that appear elsewhere in the game, you might hear little bits of that character's theme. So like Aerith's theme plays throughout the game. What I love about Aerith's theme, that's 5 apostrophes.
I heard every one of them.
Yeah. The first time you hear it, it's such a quiet tune with just little tuned percussion, with a woodwind that comes in with like just her theme that we all know. And then by the time the climax of her story comes by, then it has turned into just this heartbreaking orchestral piece that you have to fight an entire boss fight through, by the way. Through, I don't even know what that boss looks like, because you're always fighting it through a veil of tears, of your own tears. And
I'm sorry, unrelated though, one of my favorite like memes or gimmicks to see is anytime you see, Russ and I do a lot of TikTok, like videos of conventions where Sephiroth is coming down an escalator and Aerith is praying at the bottom of the escalator. That will always be the funniest thing to me.
The funniest thing to me is the sadly snowboarding, or like as far as like as soon as the next thing that happens in the game after that tragic like heartbreaking moment is snowboarding. Which, by the way, I had a friend do a sketch illustration for me of Cloud with Tifa on his shoulders and with Vincent on her shoulders, all like on one snowboard, just looking so depressed and snowboarding.
The saddest snowboard. Russ is covering his mouth trying not to die right now.
Because there's only one snowboard. So it's like, how do you think they got down that mountain? All right, I brought laughter to like one of the emotionally lowest moments of the game. And
Russ, are you okay? Do you need water?
I have it. Thank you, though.
Okay.
And yeah, like a thing that this game plays with more than the Final Fantasies that preceded it is starting a theme like that very quietly, very subtly, and then just by the time you are like towards the end, it's like, or towards the end of that like build up, then it is just like this thing is just blasting in your brain. Sephiroth's theme is a very good example of that. Like you hear the actual Sephiroth theme as soon as he says, "I'm going to see Mother," right? In the climax of that story, like not quite the climax, but like when you are informed of the shift in his character, and you're like, "Oh, this guy actually has lost it." And before that, it's just this kind of Jaws-like, just low, strings and things like that, just kind of broadcasting that something is wrong.
It feels to me like a building storm in the distance is how that song really feels to me at the beginning.
See, you know how to talk about music.
I had a conversation with Russ like a couple of years ago. I was very excited because I'd heard I was listening to the Sephiroth tune, and all of a sudden I was like, wait, I can actually analyze this. Like, I understand the parts. Do you remember that phone call? I was weirdly excited because I knew how to talk about one piece of music ever.
Yeah.
I do like whenever movies, TV shows, video games do have character leitmotifs that are like character affirming moments that come up and swell when the characters return or do something. I love that. That is probably my favorite use of music.
Yeah, and like I said, Tifa's theme is another one that like keeps coming back in like really cool ways. And of course, the main theme, which I feel like the remake a little bit drove into the ground as a leitmotif, but holy crap, you know, when you get onto that world map and like it's 20 minutes long or however long, like that loop goes forever. And it's got like dramatic moments, it's got uplifting moments, it's got like quiet moments, loud moments, you know, it's all in there. And then you get into the battle theme, and I have said before, but Those Who Fight is my favorite Final Fantasy regular battle theme of all the series. It is an incredible battle theme. And Graham, you want to talk about music? Do you want to jump in on any of these points so far?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything that you're saying. I think that Uematsu did amazing work with what sort of limited resources the 3 discs of the PS1 were able to provide. I always think especially of the original English language track names are possibly not the names that were originally intended, but it's the track that I know as Curry, which is you hear very early in the game while you're escaping from the reactor. Because the actual sort of melody of it is, very sort of driving, like da 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 da, But there's this temple block in the background, just going like.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
the
a timer.
metronome.
Sounds like a ticking clock, right? It sounds like a ticking clock because it's like you've got to get out of here right now.
So now we've got 2 people who will sing the soundtrack for us. It's great.
Yeah.
You guys can harmonize.
Oh yeah.
No, for real. I had to early on when I was asked to do music for the podcast. I was like, I had to make a conscious effort to be like, okay, don't try and sing every song to make your point. And so it became this thing I had to train out of me. But I promise, when I'm talking about music in person, I usually am just singing.
Russ and I did not put that rule on you.
No. I would find that annoying to listen to as a podcast enjoyer. So
If I haven't said it recently, by the way, thank you so much for being a part of this podcast, because Russ and I have always known that music is a very important part of, especially the JRPG genre. I think it plays a more significant role in this genre than most. But Russ coined the term that I love, and I now use for myself as well. Russ and I are musical agnostics. Like, we're aware that it exists. It exists there.
And there's some of it that's good.
Yeah, some of it's fine. Some of it's not fine. Whatever. Like, early on playing in this podcast, in earlier episodes, often I was watching TV while I was playing these games, so I'd have the volume muted. I wouldn't even hear the music of the games I was playing, which is...
Yeah, I know. I was going to say, I'm clutching my chest right now in a dramatic fashion.
I do the same thing. Sometimes it's a podcast.
I mean, I still do it now. If I'm in like a dungeon or whatever, spoiler, I'm playing Persona 3 at the moment for a future review. And like when it comes time to spend 2 hours climbing Tartarus, I'm just like, all right, I got this other laptop here. Let's just start watching this TV show. Let's watch some Dimension 20, whatever, while I'm going through this dungeon. Like, I don't need to hear this song for the next 2 hours. I have heard it.
Yeah. But again, with Final Fantasy VII, it's like in like any RPG, it is a little bit of like, well, I'm going to hear about 30 seconds of the world map music, and then I'm going to hear that battle music again. I've heard 1,000 times. And so, yeah, I can see, even with a masterful soundtrack like this, it's like you're still going to experience it differently when you're playing the game than when you're just listening to it.
But in old school fashion, and I'm going to speak for Russ, and I'm not even going to ask his permission, the music exists. It's good.
It is good. Yes.
And so a couple more points that I just wanted to and this is a little bit like musical innovations, let's call it. For one, this is the first Final Fantasy track, not with vocals, but with lyrics. Because, of course, Final Fantasy VI had vocalizations for the opera scene. But this Final Fantasy VII has The One-Winged Angel, which is everybody's like favorite little song. My favorite version of this song, by the way, is one that somebody made on Trombone Champ, and they have Sephiroth with a giant trombone that's like 7 feet long playing this this song, and I can watch that all day. I love that so much. But yeah, it's, you know, these like kind of choral lyrics and like just this scary psycho like music, you know, like those violin stings from Lady Getting Stabbed in the Shower is like punk, you know, it starts off this like this really scary final boss because of course you have to fight multiple bosses leading up to it, and depending on your level of preparation, this one winged angel comes down from the sky, so literally, by the way, which I'll talk about that in the remake podcast. But anyways, just what they did with that theme. But yeah, he comes down, he looks really messed up and angelic, and like he is just about to frag you by destroying the entire solar system. It is somehow music that is even more epic than that.
Mm-hmm. It's very good.
Yeah, and it's not even like, I don't even like it as a final boss theme compared to like other Final Fantasies. It's not even the best of the final boss themes when in that game. I think Bizarro Sephiroth's better, but I do love its inclusion and how wild it is, and that's just, again, something that about Final Fantasy VII that I love is that when it reaches its peaks musically, like he really stretched for it, and and that's why I think this soundtrack really went above and beyond and innovated in its own field, is because obviously they opened up Final Fantasy VIII with vocal singing and, you know, in that kind of same vein of the Latin stuff, and so.
Which is
clearly,
like a vocal stim for me. The amount of times I say "FIFA."
Exactly.
Oh God, we are gonna have to play Final Fantasy VIII at some point.
Yeah.
I know. I'm the only one at the table that doesn't enjoy it. I understand.
Well, maybe you'll like it this time.
Maybe
I'll loan you my Brady guide.
Maybe I will. I'll have Russ teach me how to break the game. He seems to know that.
I do.
Any more thoughts in music before we start wrapping this up?
Again, so many.
Oh,
go ahead.
I just love that through all the Final Fantasy games, that while there's very little music reused from game to game, that the battle theme, just the normal battle theme, has the same driving bass line. I'm going to hum again. Just the
which,
and the melody's different. That changes from game to game, but the battle theme is, you know, you're like, okay, all right, we're back, right?
Yeah. I love that. And also the Chocobo theme, which, by the way, I was just going to shout that out. I love Yeehaw! The 2 6-shooters. And also...
Yeah.
If Graham didn't know we were Texan, now he does.
I know, yeah, I know. I love the little moments like that in the Final Fantasy VII soundtrack specifically. Like the bike chase, you know, minigame scene. That song, which you only hear at that point, has one piano note, and everybody knows it. Just hits this... bong, just at one point, and when you hear it, you're like, yes, it's the piano note. Anyway, I
the
did want to.
Music is great.
I did want to present my little theory, because we know that Nobuo is a big progressive rock and 70s rock fan, and he's introduced lots of elements of that into his music. You hear a lot of John Lord keyboard parts, you hear a lot of Emerson, Lake and Palmer. It's a matter of course, because, you know, the best keyboards were 70s prog, and that's when he would have, you know, been young. Because I think he's a huge Deep Purple fan, I believe that the Final Fantasy, the infamous da 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 da, is actually a play on Highway Star from that band, because it starts off ding 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 ding.
Interesting.
Yeah. If you listen to Highway Star,
I gotta go listen to this.
Yeah, just it's not exact. It's more like, I think, a tribute. But yeah, if you listen to like the way Highway Star opens up, and it's like a pretty unique opening for even 70s rock at the time, even though it's just chugging a chord, but it's like starting a car is what their idea behind it was. And so like you're starting a battle, and so you use like the kind of same energy. And I really feel like that's something that either consciously or unconsciously, I think that is actually Highway Star that he is referring to. By the way, one of the pre-Final Fantasy games he worked on was Rad Racer on the NES, which in Japan is called Highway Star.
Well, there you go.
Subtle.
Oh.
Yeah. So he's aware. Also, he worked with Ian Gillan, the singer of Highway Star, in Blue Dragon in the boss theme, which is amazing. Go listen to the boss theme of Blue Dragon and know that that's the guy that sang Smoke on the Water and Highway Star and stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and move into our final thoughts.
Final Fantasy thoughts.
Indeed. So as I addressed at the top of the show, I kind of came to this playthrough with a fresh set of eyes and a fresh appreciation from playing the remakes. So I was judging the game. The game's great. It's a great game. Yeah. I am irritated by the materia management. I'm a little frustrated by some of the mini games because I feel like they kind of disrupt the flow of story and everything. Because I got to sit here and figure out how to keep warm while climbing a mountain and give a little girl CPR. Overall, though, I am still going to give the game an A-, which is, that's a good score. I think they should be happy with it. I think Square should be very satisfied. I know they're waiting for my score.
They have been waiting for your review for years.
Russ?
Yeah. I give this game 5 mutated giant birds out of 5. I do think this is a great game. It's not on my personal top 5 of Final Fantasies, but the remake has bumped it higher. I think it is very good. And yeah, 5 out of 5 giant mutant birds.
Graham?
I mean, this is my...
You're not required to give a score, by the way. As you can tell, Russ and I have our own scoring systems. Just speak your heart.
Yeah, I don't know what the exchange rate is between mutant birds and points, but one giant gold saucer. I love this game. I think that I love it mechanically, and I've played some dog water JRPGs just because their mechanics are good. I don't know if y'all have got to Grandia 3 on the PS2 yet.
Not
that
yet.
Game is bad.
Grandia Extreme is coming up soon, but not Grandia 3
yet. The combat system, is it 3 or 2? I actually need to confirm this. The fighting in that game was so much fun to play. It's the only reason that I beat the game, because the actual plot and characters are horrendous.
3 does have very, very generic. That's the one where you have and I know I've told you about this, you have the boss battle, and there's one part of the boss that if it ever gets a turn, it one-shots you, and you have to push back its turn over and over again.
Yeah, but I think that 7 is mechanically very solid. You're right about the keeping warm minigame. I like all the other ones. That one's terrible. But mechanically, I think the combat is really good, and I think that the story and characters are just some of the coolest storytelling. And as the sort of late game reveals go on, and all of Cloud's memories and past get recontextualized, I think is really, really interesting. And that's where we see, because I didn't touch on this earlier, how cool of a character Tifa is, because she spent the whole game listening to Cloud talk nonsense. And she's going, what is wrong with my friend?
That
and
is
then later
such
in the
a good
game,
point.
she's like, oh, I realize it. Yeah.
Yeah. I did love that.
I think it's really cool.
I totally agree with you I didn't say that when we were talking about Tifa, but the reason she's one of my favorite characters is because she knows the whole time that Cloud is messed up.
She's just looking at him like, did he get brain damage?
Being shaking him and being like, what is wrong with you? She's very gentle with him, and she's trying to really help him and figure out what goes on. And then in the remake, she includes Aerith in that, and I think it's told very well.
Yes. Tifa, above and beyond this video game, is one of my very favorite video game characters.
She's great.
Yeah.
Chris.
Oh, final thoughts about Final Fantasy VII. Well, I'll never have them. But
we're gonna wait until you do.
I'm gonna take another approach to this. Believe it or not, I'm not. I'm gonna say that what I think is so important about Final Fantasy VII, basically its influence over JRPGs, including within its own series, because I feel like Final Fantasy VII was the last mistake that Squaresoft made. Because the game's not finished. Vincent and Yuffie were added in because as optional characters because they couldn't finish their actual stories. They were like, well, it's either we just take them out completely or we make them optional characters. And you can even see in the translation that their translations are the worst of the characters because they're not finished. The game, was limited to 3 discs. It couldn't go past that. So like some of the story didn't really get told. And again, the translation itself was rushed. Not bad necessarily. Certainly I didn't notice at the time. And 15 years old, I was like, well, this looks fine to me. And then, of course, right after that, I played Final Fantasy Tactics, where I was like, I don't know what's going on, man. But it's like Final Fantasy VII got like, it's such a huge game that they spent so much money advertising, and then you play it, and it's just this like mechanically very strong, characters excellent, art amazing. But you can see that there were choices that Nomura Sakaguchi like kind of clash with the chibi characters versus the real characters, and all these things that happened in a game that we had seen this a million times leading up to this, except for Earthbound. But we had seen like all these compromises and all of these like I said, missteps and like all of these kind of like, well, we don't really have the money or the time, let's just put it out kind of attitude towards RPGs. And I feel like Final Fantasy VII is the last time that they were like, we can get away with this. So the game is amazing, but it's held back. But because of its influence and its success, whether through marketing or the game's own merits, I don't know. I would say little of both. Because it was such a fantastic game that resonated with so many people, like from the very next game, they really, like, even though they made choices, they committed to them.
They did.
And Final Fantasy IX, the best one in the series in my opinion. Final Fantasy X, just an amazing cinematic tearjerker. 12, again, they made choices, but they,
excellent choices.
Yeah, depending on who you are. It's like I only just started
justice for 12.
Yeah. No, I only just started it and I really love it. Okay, I haven't beaten that one yet.
12 is one of Russ's favorites, Graham.
Yeah. But like,
I love 12.
But yeah, I feel like Final Fantasy VII was Square's last mistake, and in a good way, because after that they stepped up, and all of RPGs stepped up, because now they're getting distribution. Now people are paying attention to them, and we get some of the best real huge experiences rather than these like the smaller like kind of games that we were seeing on like Super Nintendo and things like that, which were great, but obviously not with a whole lot of attention drawn to them. So it's like they could be more free to like kind of experiment and be small. But now RPGs are huge.
Yeah.
And we have Final Fantasy VII to thank for that, or curse. And it did change everything in that way, including itself, because they keep retelling the story because it's not complete. That's why we have so many supplemental materials and a whole ass remake that isn't done yet. So
Yeah.
That's the interesting thing, I think, about Final Fantasy VII, and that kind of is my final thought on the original release, is that it was this incomplete idea that we're still completing, and that's really interesting to me.
So Russ, I've been forgetting to ask this question for several reviews, and of all the reviews to remember to ask this question, this is the most ridiculous.
I can't wait.
Russ, if they want to play Final Fantasy VII, where can they play it?
I mean, unless you only have an Xbox, then I can, or a Switch, but not for long.
Remakes on Switch?
Coming to Switch 2.
Oh, the original, though.
The original and the
remastered is on Switch.
So, yeah, you can play it. You can play it pretty much anywhere. You can play the remake on your PS5. You can play the original on your PS5.
I think at this point, Graham can just play it by closing his eyes.
Yeah. Anywhere.
So let's go ahead and move into plugs. Let's plug something that we want the audience to know about, things that we want the audience to enjoy. Graham, why don't you go first? What could you possibly have to share with our audience? Please plug the hell out of the work you do.
Okay, great. Yeah, well, like I said, like you introduced me, I'm a co-founder of Loading Ready Run. We do a whole bunch of stuff. We do comedy, we do video gaming, we do tabletop gaming, we do all kinds of things. At time of recording, I'm in the midst of the Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy release that by the time this airs will have come out last year. But as part of that, I'm working on a very long video that, as I say this, isn't out yet, but if it's not out by the time you're hearing this, something's gone catastrophically wrong. Where I explain every Final Fantasy card in the set to Magic players who've never played Final Fantasy before. But yeah, just you can check us out on Loading Ready Run on YouTube and Twitch and all the possible places you could put the name Loading Ready Run. You'll probably find us there.
Well, this is embarrassing because I was also going to plug Loading Ready Run. I was going to point out some of their live streams that I, in particular, enjoy. They produce so much content that it would be a full-time job to consume it all. I don't know that any of their fans consume everything they do. I particularly like Loading Ready Live, which is their monthly improv variety show that they do once a month, where they do various games and comedic bits. I love Watch and Play, where Graham makes Alex play terrible video games. Think Mystery Science Theater, but for bad video games.
Hell yeah.
Checkpoint, which is their weekly video game news show, is how I get my video game news. And then, of course, Russ and I both deeply love Desert Bus. We take off a week of work, we plant ourselves on the couch, and we don't move. And speaking of, if you ever got a couple entertainer slots open, Russ and we would be there in a heartbeat. And if you only have one open, I will abandon Russ so fast it'll make his head spin. Russ, did you have something you wanted to plug?
Yes, I do. So my favorite Loading Ready Run property is Let's Nope.
Which is
Oh, very nice.
Ben and Adam play horror games, and we all laugh, and we aren't scared as we watch the horror games being played because Ben and Adam make us laugh. And I really like it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Chris, did you have anything you wanted to plug?
I'm going to take this opportunity to do a rare self-promo. I stream on Twitch, Twitch TV /LiarExaggerate, like the Earthbound character, LIERXAGERATE. I didn't realize it's such a terrible name until I started spelling it out loud. But I am on Saturdays playing through the entire Final Fantasy series, and I should actually probably be on 7 by the time you hear this. So come yell at me about my bad opinions.
So our next episode will be Dragon Quest V, which is, I feel, another tentpole game in the JRPG genre. So I'm looking forward to that, and we will see you there. Thank you all for listening.
Yes, and thank you, Graham.
Absolutely. Thank you, Graham, for joining in.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Home on the RNG is a presentation of Mad Centaur Productions. You can find Jeff on YouTube at youtube.com/Centaur Productions or on Twitter at Jeff Centaur. You can find Russ on Twitter at RussMac25. You can find Chris on Twitch at twitch.tv/LiarExaggerate or on Twitter at EnrichFlavor. Thank you for listening, and remember to save your game before powering off this podcast.
I'm a big Yuffie fan. I have been since day one.
I never liked her much in the original, but I am liking her in the remake. I'm liking all the characters more in the remake.
I've said this before. I don't remember if it was on record on the podcast itself, but she is the only character, I think, in all of Final Fantasy, at least from what I've played, but definitely in the classics, that has said the word boobs. Because if you have Tifa as the leader of your party and Cloud's out of commission, only in that time, if you recruit Yuffie, she calls Tifa boobs as a derivative nickname in the translation.
I mean, Tifa does have to wear orthopedic underwear.
It's true. Although in that Tim Rogers series you mentioned, like we kind of get to the bottom of what those really are that she has. It's like fancy granny panties, essentially.
Ah.
The word orthopedic was just a kind of a translation choice.